Most people think pain means damage and you should avoid it at all costs. And I get it, pain is scary, but this style of thinking is exactly what's keeping you stuck right now. A couple years back, I couldn't even deadlift without my back seizing up. I was walking to the gym, I was doing my 45-minute warm-ups, hoping that, this wasn't the day that my back would just kind of give out on me. I was treating pain like it was this threat to my body the entire time. So what I did was I had a change in my mindset. I stopped running away from pain and I started listening to it. And I went from 3 years of living with chronic pain, being scared of it, to now deadlifting close to 500 pounds, completely pain-free. My client at Zen, who I'm working with right now, he told me it's like he's got his life back in just a couple of weeks working together, just by shifting this mindset and incorporating the right exercises into his routine. And by the end of this video, I'll share with you 3 ways that you could shift your mindset from feeling like pain is a threat to being actually something that's giving you information and can actually be helpful for you. I was that guy, walking to the gym, scared the minute I walk in. In fact, not even the minute I walk in. It was literally like, I'd wake up in the morning, I'd be like, is this a good pain day or a bad pain day? So it's like already on my mind. So the fear was already there. And then I'd walk into the gym, already be scared. Doing my warm up, I'm like, is this a day where my back is gonna seize up? What if my back seizes up and they have to call an ambulance or something? That's how scared I was during my training sessions, just to give you an idea. And I've tried other strategies in the past. Before I met the right people to help me, I did some generic rehab approaches, which, don't get me wrong, can be helpful for some people, but it didn't necessarily fall in line with my goals. I wanted to be in a gym, lifting hard and training. I was told, stop deadlifting, stop lifting heavy, stop the gym, all this stuff. And I just didn't feel right, obviously. And, I just wanted to train, but yet I was told not to train. So I was like, well, what are my options now? It got to a point where I would be almost doing more warm-up exercises than actually training. And what this eventually led to was just me being in a bad mood, obviously, the fear getting worse. So I was being more fearful of training, which would amplify my pain because your pain sensitivity increases when you perceive pain as a threat. And ultimately, I just got weaker. I got weaker and I got more in pain. It's the exact opposite of what I wanted to happen. At the end of the day, pain is just information. It is not equal to damage. And when you give it the right stimulus, your body will adapt. But the tricky part is finding that stimulus. Here are 3 ways to shift your thinking from pain being something threatening to being something that actually can be helpful for you. Shift number 1. This is going to be from avoiding pain to listening to pain. So this is what most people do. They get pain with a certain exercise, they freak out. I get it. And then they avoid the exercise. And then they get even more scared of performing that exercise again. This doesn't work for the long term because it essentially just makes your world smaller and you get weaker. The body's always trying to tell you what it needs. So you have to actually pay attention and try and listen to it. So if we look at my client Etienne, who I spoke about earlier, who's now training pain-free, for him, he was super, super scared of having this pain. In fact, he didn't even run for 11 years, I think. So, we went from shifting that mindset to look, we have this pain, it's scary, but let's listen to what it's telling us. We'll take that information and then we can use it to implement some strategies. And what's cool about this is that now pain goes from this roadblock to being more like this GPS system or signal. And you're kind of using it as a guide to make the next best move. You're getting control back of your body, essentially. So shift number 2 is going from pain equals damage to pain equals information. And when you're in pain, you get the idea that something is wrong, broken, that there's some kind of tissue damage, which in some cases there may be. You end up seeing the physio, the massage, the chiro, this laundry list of professionals you see because you've been in pain for so long and you don't know what to do anymore. So in Etienne's case, for this shift, he had some mechanical issues going on with his body. There were some restrictions that needed to be addressed, but we used pain as this navigator to tell us what those things actually were. So he was having back pain, for example, but this was being driven by other things, such as that his body was stuck in this extended state, for example, among other things. It's not just the one thing, but we use those pain signals to kind of map out what was actually driving this pain. And this is not just physical. You have to look, I have a very holistic point of view with this. So you have to look at all of the things that are driving the pain. Pain is multifactorial. So You really have to take a bird's eye view and not just say like, I have back pain, let's just focus on the back. You have to look at the big picture here. So like nutrition, stress, sleep, among so many other things. So now you become curious instead of fearful, and then you can solve your problems instead of just managing symptoms. Shift number 3, from victim of your body to detective of your body. Sounds kind of cheesy, but hear me out. So when you're in pain, you feel helpless. When it shows up, you feel like, I don't have control of my situation anymore. So you lose that autonomy in yourself. And then you start developing this reliance on other people to get you out of pain, which only makes things worse in the long term. You develop this relationship where it's like, I'm in pain, there's nothing I can do about it. I need outside help to get me out of pain. Like I said, you lose that autonomy and you never develop the skill set to take control of your situation and be able to help yourself for the long term. So in this instance, with this shift, with the 10, for example, it was a complete turnaround because now, he's training with no restrictions right now. He's, benching, squatting, deadlifting, pain-free right now. He's running. He hasn't run in 11 years. He's running. We just sprinted last week, which is awesome. But yeah, like there are some days where you have those kind of aches and pains, but he's not freaking out about it anymore because he knows what these aches and pains mean. And he's not fearful of it anymore. Because before, when he was experiencing these pains, it was like, oh, I did something wrong. And I literally remember when we first started working together, I gave him he could barely do calf raises. I gave him a calf raise and he's just like, I have pain. And I remember he was like freaking out that we had pain. I was like, look, dude, like this is something that you haven't addressed in so long. It's normal to feel these sensations. Let's use this as a tool to guide us through what's, doing too much or if we're doing too little, and we'll make the appropriate adjustments. And that's what we did. And now, like I said, he just sprinted. It was like last week or the week before, and he had no pain. I mean, he literally sent me a message where he's like, I feel like I got my life back, which is just incredible because if you've been in pain for a long time, you want to be sending that message, right? You know what it feels like to be in pain for a long time. So receiving that message for someone who has been in pain it was nice, seeing that because I know what it's like to feel stuck and kind of helpless in those situations. So that's all I got for today, guys. I hope this was helpful. If you are someone who loves training, if you're in pain, you want to, still train hard while you're in pain, I created a free training, which you could click on the link below. It talks about my program, how I help other lifters like yourself get back to training pain-free. So if you're interested, click on the link below. I'll see you next time.